But I did have a question about, based on your personal experience, what are the types of uses of AI that have most positively impacted your research? Because these are example of bridges that will show us how we go from how we use AI today to how we will use it in the future.
Yeah. So I think each of these is two-sided, right? I use agentic coders to make tools to analyze data, something I never would have been able to do. I don't know how to code, but maybe I should learn how to code. I use these deep research tools that quickly give me a summary of a topic and hopefully go through several sources and deeply research the topic and give me what looks like a literature review in minutes on any subject. But there's something incredibly valuable about doing that yourself, because as you said earlier, you go down rabbit holes, you find little bits of info, you go down tangents, you come up with ideas. So both of those things seem kind of like a two-faced coin, right? They have pros and cons to them. They're powerful and they are undoubtedly boosting productivity, but I'm not sure that they're always a good thing. So I don't know if that they should ban AI in some circumstances, or I don't think it's really possible to do that. I don't know if you can. I don't know.
Why would you ban it though? What are you trying to prevent?
You're
What's the
trying to
reasoning
prevent
behind?
people over relying on it and sort of offloading their ability to think and troubleshoot. As we said, I think if you allow AI to do everything for you, plan your experiments, plan the protocol, do the protocol, troubleshoot everything, analyze the data, spit out the data, do your writing for you, do your literature review for you, you'd get something out of it. It would look all right, probably. Would you have personally become a better researcher from your PhD? I don't think really.
Again,
And
I
isn't
think it
that the point?
depends. I think it depends though on whether we're, again, quantifying impact or whether we're quantifying just having the technical knowledge. Nowadays, nobody expects you to know every single intricacy on how to use a computer or using
No.
the command line to do everything, right? You just need to know that the computer works. And then you can go and use Word, you can go and use whatever programming tool or whatever. You don't need to actually know those details.
Yeah.
So I think that AI is becoming a bit of a general purpose technology, right? Just like the internet, just like smartphones, just like computers. You don't necessarily need to know all the details about it. But if you know how to use the tools inside of it, then you can use it in your own industry.
Yeah. I suppose if you, for example, if you were a scientist, like an immunotherapy scientist, a T cell scientist, you would expect that scientist to know about T cells, right? You'd
That's
accept
fair.
that if you ask them some questions in person, they'd be able to tell you off the top of their heads several things about T cells and the details of how they work. And if someone's a lab scientist and is trained as a lab scientist and comes out and graduates as a lab scientist, you would expect them to be able to, you know, plan an experiment, troubleshoot when things go wrong, not be phased by things being a bit difficult at first and powering through it. That's a skill to learn. I think there's a risk of losing those skills, being an expert in deeply on a subject and learning those skills of resilience and powering through problems. It's tricky, isn't it? I mean, but then you lose the productivity if you don't maximize your use of AI as much as you can, because there are several ways that not everybody in my lab would use coding agents, for example. They would, copy and paste code out of ChatGPT, what backwards and forwards, and it's way less efficient, and it's because they haven't been exposed to it yet.
And I think that your example is particularly spot on because you're in a type of industry like pharmaceuticals, chemistry, and medicine. You're knowing exactly, like there is serious implication out of the drug discovery that gets done in the lab. And so it makes perfect sense that the people working in the lab need to have an extensive knowledge about all the different aspects that you described. And I agree with you. It would be just like a disastrous development in society if all the doctors didn't know how to cure diseases because they've always used AI. I think,
Yeah.
on the other hand, AI is a way to distribute knowledge at a scale that is, several orders of magnitude stronger. Now,
Yeah.
if you are an average data analyst at an average company, you can now develop machine learning models that can help you achieve 100 times this, the level of analysis that you were doing before. And so I agree with you. Now perhaps comes the distinction between, are you the employee, one amongst many thousands, amongst millions, and therefore supercharging your productivity through AI makes perfect sense. Against, are you the top 1% researcher in a medical field where drug discovery will impact, the well-being of millions of people? And so perhaps the use of AI should be not necessarily restricted, but it should be controlled or perhaps verified, but more
Yeah.
unbiased institutions, perhaps.